Hey you guys, thank you for giving me the opportunity to redo this video for you. I really want to talk to you about a very important subject topic, and that's why I wasn't very happy with the first video. This is probably the number one, no, not probably. This is definitely the number one trick to being successful versus not being successful in this business. So what that trick is consistency. Okay, that might sound like really kind of boring as compared to like, isn't it important to send messages or have the right message or network or XYZ? There's all kinds of parts to our process that would seem like they hold the number one spot of importance to this business. But the deal is, those are all important things, but if you are not doing any of them consistently, you might as well put everything on the shelf, because you're going to frustrate yourself in trying to achieve your goals, and you're never really going to fully experience those goals. So I want to use myself as an example to this. I almost named this the reason why I have been at the Emerald Jewel level for 6 years, when I fully expected to be much further than that within, diamond within a couple of years. When I was first getting going, I went emerald within 1 year. I took my husband emerald like a year and a half later, I think it was. And obviously it makes sense that I would keep climbing and I would eventually go sapphire and bounce back and forth if that was the case. Why did that not happen? At year 3, I hit a brick wall on a number of things on both my personal and my business side of life. Now, some of you will know, some of you don't know, that the business side of things was a back office glitch. So this was a compromise to our website that caused a huge amount of issues across our company. And those of us who had been in the business for a few years already really took deer in the headlights position. Like, it was shocking to us to see our businesses hit that type of a wall. And at the same time, on a personal level, I was dealing with a lot of internal issues of fear-based issues, and just some other crazy stuff that we get into our own heads, right? We've talked about that. We get into our own heads with all of these different fears and concerns that we're not enough. If we can succeed, which this was one of mine, I would succeed and then I would fear the abilities to sustain that success. If people figure it out, I really wasn't smart as I was trying to give people that perception that I was smart. If I was discovered that I wasn't good enough, things like that were festering inside of me. Even though I had the success, I kind of pushed for the success. Underneath all of that success were all these fears, right? They all boiled over when back office hit, because back office caused my business to crumble, everyone's business to crumble to some degree. And instead of just moving past the crumbling, I got stuck. I got stuck in my own head of doubt, and I sat there for a long time. Here's where the consistency issue comes into place. Okay. I would get to a place where I felt like, I can't be here any longer. I have to move forward. And I know I can do this. I know I can. And I would push and push and push and push. And boom, my business would start to go. But really what was happening is I was just getting really real with myself. And regardless of fear or anxiety or any other feelings I was having, I was putting them on the shelf and saying, I'm going to get into action, and I'm going to do this every day. And that's exactly what would happen. I would get into action and my business would flourish with my consistency. Whether I was really good, because a lot of times during this time frame, I was learning things that I had never done before. You guys, there's a thing called an IPA. For those of you who are super new, you might not know this yet, but it's an income producing activity. It's what our daily tasks need to be. One of those things was to add to your network, which is just simply adding new friends to Facebook. Doesn't seem too hard, right? So do that. And the second thing is to private message people, new people, every day, 3 to 5 at a minimum. Really, for somebody who's a jewel wanting to get to the next jewel rank, it should be 5 to 10 at a minimum. And follow up with 5 new people every day. I had never done that in 3 years' time. That might sound shocking to some of you who are doing that and are in that stage of your building process, but I was really good at leading people, at helping people on my team to reach their goals and visions and help them to see the vision of what was possible for this business. And so I didn't need a lot of people. I just needed someone who would listen to me. And I had enough of those people that my business continued to flourish and flourish and flourish without me having to do this daily activity all the time. Well, when we hit that roadblock with back office, I was like, okay, well, my people are gone. What am I going to do? And I don't have any warm market left. And oh my gosh, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to lose everything. And that's when I turned to the IPA, which had been largely talked about on other teams. We don't have an upline really, so I didn't hear from it from my upline because there's none there. And so I reached out to another diamond and I'm like, what is this thing? And she was so gracious. She did a Zoom call with me. She took me over through all of those parameters. And there I stood, my 4th year in the business, already a jewel for 3 years, discovering and learning how to send new messages to people and how to use Facebook in a better way where I was actually having influence, because at the time I was getting like 5 likes on my posts, and how to add new people. Like, what is the trick of who do I pick, that kind of thing, and how do I build a relationship with them? That took me a long time to discover how to do that. But rather than giving up, I kept going. I kept figuring out how to be better at messaging people, how to accept that I'm not a sapphire today, but if I keep going and keep trying and keep pushing, one day I will be a sapphire. And instead of saying this isn't fair, um, I I look around me and I see plenty of people who are already sapphire and diamond long in much shorter periods of time. Why can't I get this right? What is wrong with me? Why am I so stupid? How do I not have better skill sets? All of these things that can beat you down. I persevered. Now, with that said, there were moments of being beat down by myself, right? I was doing it to myself. And there's where the inconsistency showed up. So for 3 years now, really going on 4 years, I was putting my feelings on a shelf and pushing through and being consistent and seeing great success. You see these checks on my back wall, $2,000 in the upper, $750 on the lower. Those were last spring. Last spring, I was super consistent before the spring season, right? So leading up to spring, I was being very consistent, and I had a team of people that came out of that consistency that were willing to be in activity, and poof, my paycheck blew up. Guess what I did once I got to that level? I was really succeeding. I was doing really great. I got in my head again and down I went. Okay. Every single time I have been inconsistent, it has shown up into my business as a failure. Every single time I have been consistent, it has shown up in my business as a success. So even after I learned the skills, the processes, I know how to lead, I got it all right. If I am not consistent in the skill sets that I have, I won't continue to succeed. That's like the final piece of the puzzle. So last weekend, when I asked you guys to lay your goals out there, consistency came up. No surprise, this is constantly in my conversations with people about the products or the business side of things. And here's the deal. The reason people lack consistency when consistency is the key to success is because they don't actually believe. Same thing with me. I lacked belief in myself, and that's the biggest hurdle to get through. I'm going to give you an answer to this, by the way, but it's a matter of belief, because when we believe in something, we find the time for it. That's the number one excuse people use to not make this business work for them on a consistent basis is time. But that's a lie. Do not tell yourself that time is a rational reason why you can't do that business. That's just a crutch for you. And I'm sorry if that seems really abrupt, but I want it to be, because I want you to see past your own crutch so that you can see your goal come to fruition. It makes no sense to let me sugarcoat something and then let you not meet the goals that you're capable of meeting. Okay. So I want to kind of be to the point on that. Um, give you an example. I have a friend of mine. She's been a nurse for 23 years. She's a mom of 3 children. Um, just finished her bachelor's degree. Okay. As a full-time nurse, mom of 3 kids, still at home, and she went back and got her bachelor's degree. Here's the funny part. She didn't want a bachelor's degree. After so many years of being a nurse, the industry decided it was a requirement to maintain her nursing position. So even though she has all the knowledge and the experience and the capability for 18 years or whatever it wasn't enough. So she was faced with either I figure out a way to go get my bachelor's degree or I lose my income, which is not an option. It's not an option. So guess what she did? She carved out time in her week. She told her family it had to be done. That's just the way it had to be. And she went and got her bachelor's degree and finished it. What's the point of that story? When we have choices in our life, we can decide if we want to make it not an option to do anything other than that choice, or we can leave this little window open and say, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to give it some effort. When you leave that window open where you're just trying to do something versus you are all in committed, it can't not happen. Those are two very, very, very separate universes. And one is going to mean that no matter what, you will see yourself to your goal. That is going to happen. The other one is wishy-washy. It's you're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. And I want to ask you, and I know I can ask you this, what have you ever done in your life where you could be in and out and had it succeed? It's literally not possible unless you like win the lottery or something. Very unusual like that. It's not possible to set down goals and just be wishy-washy about them and succeed. And here's the really painful part. When you're in and out like that, you do what I did. You see the success and then you see it go. And then you see the success and you see it go. And you're putting all this effort in chunks of time. And even in between that, you're beating yourself up for not sustaining or not getting further along. And you're like, why isn't this working? And the whole journey is painful because you're making it that way. If you would just stay on the road of every day without fail, no matter what, not doing this work before my head hits the pillow, it's not an option. Not taking my products every day is not an option. You will only grow and grow and grow and grow and grow closer to your success. So every day you can wake up and feel joy towards what you're doing instead of disappointment. You might have a disappointing moment, but you will be able to look back at the last 60 days and go, okay, but I sold 17 3 days or 7 3 days. I signed 3 people each month. My Facebook social posts are going from 3 likes a day to 20 likes a day or 15 likes a day or even more than that. Those are wins. Those are all wins. Just because you don't make it to your goal weight in the time you thought you were going to, or your rank advancement in the time you thought you were going to, that's irrelevant if you're having daily consistent effort that you can look back to and see that you are making progress, that you are going forward, and that is your guarantee that you will get somewhere. But it's setting your mind to not doing it is not an option. And the time issue, going back to the nurse example, and I can give you a gazillion more, trust me. And you can probably think of some yourself. When something shows up in our life that has to be done and there's no choice, like your son gets in a car accident and he's in a wheelchair and now you have to find time to take care of him every day, like you'll find the time. That's just the way it is. So we choose to find that time in our lives based on the level of commitment and belief and importance of what is sitting before us, what we give importance to. And until you put plexus at that same level of importance as like my nurse friend that she had to get her bachelor's degree. You'll always have that door open to go, well, I can get to this later. And as long as you do that, it will always be this very painful back and forth positioning that proves to you on many days that the business doesn't work. But it's only not working because you're not working consistently. Now, again, that sounded kind of painful just to even say that, but trust me, you guys, when I speak all of this to you, I'm speaking it to me. I've done the exact same thing, or I would not be an Emerald 6 years after I first turned Emerald. That is the truth. It is all on me. I let myself get in my own way. And today I'm going to share with you that that's the trick to not letting, to getting you your success a lot faster, is don't let yourself get in your own way. If feelings are starting to mount up, put them on a shelf, sit down, get into action, period. Just drop the feelings and get moving, because you can pick the feelings back up when you're done with your IPA if you want to, but the action will produce results that will eventually hush the words of doubt and fear that are causing you anxiety to not do the work and not be consistent and not have belief. All right, so that's all I wanted to share with you guys today, because this is a really huge subject matter. I'll probably talk about it a ton of times because it is the answer to your success. All right, have a great day, you guys.